The following is a conversation about the state of the art and culture in the island of Penang, and particularly in comparison to Kuala Lumpur, between me and two Malaysian comedians, Rakib and Irfan. Please enjoy the show.
Here's the question. So I have been considering, maybe not necessarily moving, but just spending a bit more time outside of KL.
Right.
How is it like to live in Penang? Because I'd say there's a comedy scene. It's pretty good, and the shows are pretty good, and they're consistent in terms of the amount they do.
Yes.
But how is it living there?
May I add a little bit?
Sure.
Because I think Raki, you're local there, so you can have your thing, but at least as a foreigner.
Your perspective is actually more useful.
It's just in mine because of my own bias, and I'm having been raised there.
Yeah.
It is better than KL.
No.
Because there is a fine balance between everything. You want nature, you got nature over here. You want malls, you got a couple malls over here. You get to see your movies, whatever the fuck you want.
Seems more walkable.
I'm not a clubber, so I don't give a shit about that. But I know some people are crazy for clubs, but they got great bars. They have proper pubs, which I really appreciate there. Which in KL, unfortunately, a pub equals a club because you go in there and it's music blasting. You can't talk. I'm the pub is meant for me to go shut the fuck up and enjoy a drink and watch a game or talk with somebody else.
Yes.
And it's hell of a lot more culturally rich than KL, which is something that I deeply appreciate because KL has this very, unfortunately, an artificial level of culture that they're trying to inject and add to it, but fail every time.
It's like an aesthetic.
Yeah.
More than it is a deep thing.
If you go to if you go to an art gallery in KL compared to going to an art gallery in Penang, you can tell the difference because you just feel there's more substance in the one in Penang. The one in KL is much more. It's not about the art. It's more about we having an opening for the gallery tonight.
Right.
Everybody come here. We have a drink. And
it's about showing off.
Yes. We have such and such to give his opening speech and have fun with everybody.
I'm going to suck him off while we drink wine.
Yeah. Everybody suck each other off in it, and it's very artificial. No culture in any sense. Even though there's a theater scene here, which is there's nothing going on like KL Pack. There is zero going on that there's of substance.
Yeah.
Penang, on the other hand, doesn't have the theater scene or anything, but for some reason when I'm there, I'm in a place that it has obtained its history of every time Rakib tells me a bit more about the Penang history, I can see it more a little bit. And I feel it's much more enriching and also doesn't have that hectic side of KL to it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it from that front because it's it has that thing that people comedians, artists, people who are seeking culture seek there compared to KL. But that's my take.
Yeah.
And people are a little nicer.
Just a little.
What was the longest time you spent in Penang? Continuously.
I'm there I'm 1 week. I've been longest has been a week.
Okay.
But I'm constantly go there.
Gotcha.
Was there 3 weeks ago, and I'm going there 2 weeks from now again. So it's I'm constantly traveling up to Penang.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. Penang is this place where if you're very used to the city, you might find the evenings a little bit bittersweet and sad because you can feel like everything's relaxing and dying down, and it gives you time to think.
Oh.
Yeah, there's that.
there's that do I want to be alone with my thoughts?
Yeah. Penang will leave you alone with your thoughts.
Yeah. I did notice that.
Penang is hey, want to chill? You don't have a choice. You're chilling.
Yeah. The lights are dimming.
Yeah. It's because it's not like KL where things are just happening nonstop, and you're gonna keep going until 2 a.m. Right? It's none of that. We don't have.
So even the club scene is not like that.
No. There's probably like 1 or 2 clubs worth of damn, and they're not even that great. And even when you do that, no one's really like dancing. People are sitting down to drink.
Yes.
Right.
I like dancing.
Like we go to last time we were in Penang, we went to the Junk Cafe.
Yeah.
It was like you won't find a cafe like that in KL.
Junk Cafe?
Yeah, there's a bar called Junk Cafe,
okay.
and it's a very, very cool bar with all these like antiques covered the whole ceiling.
That's cool.
And the environment and the bartender is also a very cool dude. He pours extra shots and drinks. But it's like the thing is that it has that environment that you're like actually in a pub.
Mm.
The music is still a little loud for my taste, but it's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Penang town has a lot of bars you can talk in, which is a thing I find I can't do in KL. All the bars are too loud.
Yeah, it's very
Any
hard to
bar you
find
go
one.
to is for some reason somebody said like crank the music like a club.
Right. I heard that one of the reasons why music is so loud in some bars is because it's trying to stop you from talking, so you drink more.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Jeez. Okay.
But if you're an expat, you know that a bar is a place where you go to relax. So a lot of people do that instead.
Yeah.
You notice a lot of the places where you go to sit down or eat or drink are places where people relax, as opposed to like you gotta line up you may have to line up for certain things, but mostly those are tourist traps. The nice parts that people like tend not to be known by tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't see hippies around.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might see a bunch of backpackers if you're like in Georgetown, but
that's what the main reason why I considered it is because Georgetown has been coming up in terms of like literary festivals and arts festivals and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm trying to get involved with it here.
Yeah.
But I feel like here, like you said, it's very exclusive. Like they don't seem to be interested in like getting more people, which is fine. Like, that's fair.
Yeah.
But it does mean that like if you're trying to like learn stuff or trying to like do that thing, it's a bit more difficult.
All literary scenes tend to be a bit insular.
Not literary, but just like I want to go into filmmaking, for example. Mm-hmm. So like trying to find like-minded people,
it's very
I find difficult.
Yep.
And I'm trying now, but yeah, it's hard because I don't have any friends within that scene really, unless I text them and unless I text a friend of a friend of a friend. Whereas Georgetown and Penang in general feels like they have their heart on their sleeve because it's treated with this at least a certain amount of respect, like base respect that like, this is important.
Yeah.
So we're going to promote it.
Yeah, because it's 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
Your modern sort of like hip art scene that people know and hear about now, Penang has been trying to get around, 20 years ago, actually.
Okay.
In the early 2000s, actually.
20 years ago in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Do you feel old, man?
God damn.
I mean, when I was in USM as a copy editor, that's where a lot of the plays were being done.
In Georgetown?
In USM, actually.
Oh, in USM.
Universities. Okay. But they'd be sending out calls to people around, asking if people want to be part of like a theater production or whatnot. And it is still very word of mouth, so it really depends on who you know.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily a hierarchical thing. Sometimes it's just we need manpower for an art thing.
Yeah.
And they're just looking for people who can do it and who are willing to do it and have time to do it.
Okay.
So that's the distinction between here and Penang. Penang is kind of like the closest thing we've got to like Indonesia's Yogyakarta. Except that in Jogja, it's at least institutionalized. It's not really
this is not institutionalized.
No,
independent.
It's quite grassroots.
Yeah.
But in terms of living style, depending on where you are, it can feel like living on like the outskirts of KL. Have you ever done that? Like the inner city of Penang, like by the Pras, will kind of feel like you live in like Old Klang Road or whatever, right? Can be a bit hectic and loud. But it pales in comparison to like if you have to live in like, I don't know, Cheras or whatever, right? It's not like that.
Okay.
It's when the sun comes down, it's like, we can hang and we can have a very chill time doing things we like.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. You got the beach too.
I think I was very lucky to be raised in Penang because I don't think I would have found any other place where being part of a play or a concert from the age of 15, is a thing that you can do, and then hanging out afterwards. The after thing hang is a constant thing, and I didn't think I would be able to experience that ever again until I got into comedy here.
Yeah, KL, like you said, is much more. Is aside from being territorial, is also very rejecting to anybody from out of the circle.
Yeah,
it does.
I was really trying hard to be part of art scenes. I was trying to like be part of theater.
Yeah.
And when I first came here, and I was very, of course, stoked about it. I was like full of energy and all that. But then I met with a massive amount of rejection. Like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like I wasn't having to have I wasn't trying to like do anything spectacular.
Yeah,
but just
being exclusionary for the sake of being exclusionary.
Yeah, it was like, what was it? It was like a teacher who was like part of the theater group and all that. It was like, I hate your fucking guts. She didn't even told me. She told the others, like, hate his fucking guts.
What the fuck?
I was like, I'm just came here to ask us, like, let's do something like, let's do shorts. Like, I thought you would be, let's do short stories.
Yeah.
And shoot it, like, let's do sketches and put it on YouTube. And this was like 10 years ago. It's like, you being on YouTube was still a thing then. And she was like, hate your guts. I was like, I didn't ask to fuck your mother. I asked if this is an art class, do art.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
But the thing is that for some reason, just having that opinion is like, it's like, that's the rejection which makes me really despise.
Right.
And very much more cautious. Then again, the bitch died, so I'm happy about that.
Well, I think it's the insecurity thing. Because that to me sounds like again, I haven't really gone deep into it to be saying this, but I do see like the fringes of it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you are shown to be enthusiastic, it's almost like they take that to heart.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what, you think I'm not doing anything? You think I'm not trying? And then they see that as a challenge. But instead it's just like, no, I want to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I just want to, like, I'm spending time in this class. Why aren't we doing what we're supposed to do in this class?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like the same cunt to that is like she had like 3 theater act ideas that none of them came to fruition because, again, it's like this weird thing that I'm seeing in KL is that I have a great idea. Great. What are we going to do about it? Nothing.
Right.
This is a constant thing that I'm seeing. It's like, hey guys, let's do this. Great. When? I don't know. Later? Yeah, later. And they never come back to this. Or it's like, guys, I finally made the idea happen. We are beginning it. Let's have a celebration for the beginning. You do the celebration for the beginning, just like an opening ceremony. Yeah. And immediately after the opening ceremony, nothing comes out of it.
That is weird to me. That is weird that like the celebration comes before doing anything.
Yeah. So it's always like a very, it's like, okay, we celebrated the opening of this thing that you're trying to do, but you haven't delivered what you were delivering. You're supposed to deliver. But somehow that's celebrated and that's all right. Even the person who had the idea or was supposed to do the thing they were supposed to do, is okay with it in a very strange manner. Which is like, I was like telling him, I was like, it's not, I haven't seen it only once, I've seen it about 100 times in 100 different fields, in arts, creatives, anything.
Yes.
That people do that in Malaysia, in KL in particular. It's like, yeah, all right, bro, did good job.
I have the same problem because I do that where I tell people about like, oh, this is an idea that I have, this is something I want to do, and I don't deliver. And I feel like for me, it's because this is something I'm working on now to improve on. Yeah. What I've realized is that the act of saying I'm going to do this,
it diminishes it.
It diminishes it, but more importantly, it gives you the validation of doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's very intoxicating when someone is like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good idea. Like, and I'm just like, yes. You know?
Oh, but there was a TED talk on that they said, like, if you, by speaking out what you're gonna do and receiving the validation, your brain produces a chemical that is meant for the gratification of that particular moment, and the chances of you doing that idea gets to half.
Yeah.
But if you keep it to yourself, there's a higher chance for you to just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is what's happening in Penang, though, as opposed to KL. But I suppose there's a couple of things that's related to this. One is that Penang is a small town.
Penang is a small town. You can walk everywhere.
So if you say something, everyone is going to know.
Yeah.
And if everyone knows, then I guess you're doing this, right? There's no like, oh, I guess everybody's going to find out I'm not doing this. It's more like, oh, before I realized that I wasn't really going to do this, I am now suddenly realizing that I'm in the middle of doing this. Yeah. Like the inertia picks up very quickly.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed that unlike in here, in KL, life doesn't get in the way in Penang. I think that chillness that people usually associate with like complacency or slowness also allows people just enough free time to do shit.
That is very true.
And you socialize through the activities that are the artistic work that you want to do. Because they're there. That's where your friends are. That's where you want to hang out. And that's what you do. It's like the early days of the crack house, essentially.
Yeah.
But that happens, you know. The only issue with Penang, I feel, is that they're so earnest and they wear their hearts on the sleeve so much. There isn't as big a commitment to like self-awareness and quality.
Oh, okay.
So that might get very, very grating after a while. Okay. And eventually you're going to have to find a scene somewhere else. Usually in KL, where it is more exclusionary, there is a popular kids table that you're gonna eventually have to like really prove yourself in order to get on, and it's not nearly as comfortable as it would be in KL, but you'll learn in Penang. But you'll learn. This is what happened when I moved from KL to Penang, going to the crack house. Like it's a lot colder in KL when you're trying to do something.
Yeah.
Right. But the payoff is bigger. The distinction is that you had a couple of people who had what was essentially that same attitude that I've seen in Penang, but raised to a higher standard. Like Rizal and John Atherton, right?
Mm.
But in the same way as people that you would find in Penang, you had like a couple of stoners, and one of them was like an elderly backpacker from Australia, which you find quite often in Penang. And I think I just kind of got lucky. Like I moved from this environment to another environment that was essentially the same, just raised to a different standard. So they were encouraging and they were supportive, even if unlike in Penang, you really knew if you're fucking up.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll notice about artistic things in Penang is it's usually outsiders who are still doing it.
What do you mean?
Like
outsiders?
the directors, the stage managers, they're not from Penang. They're from other places.
They're foreigners.
Either they're foreigners or they're from different states.
Yeah, I have noticed that as well.
Yeah. But they come to Penang because maybe it's an academic setting that's very accommodating to them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Even though art is secondary to like a science university.
Yeah.
Or it's just a place for where artsy people belong.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it is.
Like if you walk around Georgetown and like, oh, this feels like it's been built by a bunch of hipsters.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of entices me about Penang.
Yeah.
Is that it is super fucking artsy.
Yeah.
It's super fucking artsy.
In no other place in the country will you find somebody just leaving Easter egg art all around the town for no reason.
For no reason other than their own enjoyment.
Yeah.
And that's, honestly, I appreciate that so fucking much.
Yeah.
Because it's not in a gallery somewhere.
No.
It's just there. It's on streets, it's on murals.
Yeah.
That's something I appreciate so much because, like, I feel like in KL, but in
KL it would be opposite. Because
yeah.
The person would want to be seen, most probably would start Instagramming.
Yeah, and they would want that. Again, look, I'm not living in a naive world where, like, money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it has its effect, of course. But I do, I am kind of, I feel, I don't particularly agree with the whole idea of like, we need to think about how we're going to monetize this first.
Yeah.
It should be inspiration and it should be this one, because like, I don't know, maybe again, naive, I don't know. But I think the reason you create art is because you have a perception or an opinion or whatever. You have something that you want to say and you cannot live without saying it.
Yeah.
And it's weird as fuck that the first question a lot of people get is how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas in Penang, it's fucking everywhere.
A real interesting distinction is that, have you ever been to like Sunday afternoon at the Hin Bus Depot?
No.
You should.
Okay.
Because it's basically
Penang.
Yeah. Because it's basically Rio in Bangsa, but you don't feel like you're too poor to be there.
I haven't been to Rio as well.
Yeah.
What is Rio?
Rio, as in RIUH,
yeah.
is basically sort of like a flea market-ish, like a high-end flea market.
Is it Bangsa Village?
Yeah. Well, Bangsa, it's in Bangsa. It's in the, what's it called? The print factory, the old print factory.
APW.
Yeah.
APW, the print factory, right? There is also a print shop next to it.
Yeah, it used to be an old like print factory.
Okay.
Right? And they converted it into like an event space, and every now and then there's like a flea market.
Very high-end flea market.
A very high-end for people making like
handmade, by the way.
Yeah, high-end jewelry, and there's a stall that makes like masa lemak cili padi nacho.
Sure.
You know,
that makes sense.
And like, you know, a vegan cafe where it's like avocados and everything. It's very Southern Californian.
Yeah.
If you know the reference, right?
Yeah.
And then you go to like, and it's like, it's just pretty people everywhere. And
yep. Pretty people. White as well.
Yeah.
A lot of
semi-white Malaysians. Yeah.
And high-end Chinese.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not
Chinese.
And it's... and you're like a chubby brown dude there wearing
my Thresher t-shirt.
Yeah, my Thresher t-shirt. And you're like, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
You stick out like a song.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
I hate that shit. Because especially when it comes to like artisanal stuff.
Yeah.
And like, you know, stuff that's supposed to be like for everyone.
Yeah.
And suddenly like you're just thinking, why the fuck do I belong here? Like,
you know, and it's all
everyone's giving me stink eye and shit. Yeah.
Outside parking.
Girls come in with the high heels, like 6 inches high. Like, oh my god, this is amazing. The fuck are you talking about? This is shit.
And then you go to like the Hin Bus Depot on a Sunday. And it's, first of all, people are hanging out on the field.
Yeah. That's
a little.
They're just sitting down on the field or like lying or leaning on like the art installation. So they're within the art.
That's fucking cool.
And and somebody thought, hey, it's a field surrounded by an old bus depot. We'll just fly a kite, and some people fly a kite.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's
really
far more
nice.
relatable than
Yeah.
the APW high end.
This crystal.
There's no problem with high end stuff. By the way,
isn't. There
but the
isn't.
thing is that also when you see high end stuff, I think there's a point here as well. Is that it again feels very shallow high end as well. Like you go in like these are your jewelries that you handmade. Each one of them costs $100, and you look at them like this is garbage. There's nothing to this for me to be like, wow, this is a unique piece.
Right.
I think that's the thing.
This is just you being your dad paid for your tuition and everything, and now that you're weekend, you're trying to do something.
Yeah.
And in KL, you can have like passion projects with some value, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been to like a tea shop, like a tea garden sort of situation, in in like a Four Seasons in like Bataling Street. But it's a high end thing.
Of course.
It's just a precious little, it's lovely to be there, but it's not accessible. Not really.
That's the problem, I feel.
Whereas in Penang, you just walk in. There's no entry fee.
Yeah.
There might be a tiny stall making like an artisanal jamu drink on one end, and like, one of my friends would be like selling her kefir sodas or whatever. And there's a bunch of like trinket stalls and stuff, like the usual.
There's
stuff.
odd places as well, like what was the last? And they're all busy, especially in Penang. It's like you have this dessert, is like this green noodles.
Chendol.
Yeah. There's like a very famous chendol place in the Penang. It's like in a corner of a street. The dude just has this little stall, and he's just working, and he doesn't even give a shit. He's like, "What do you want?" Yeah, doing it. Like he's splashing all over the place, and people lining up.
Yeah.
And you're right next to this like highly expensive Chinese cake shop, but everything is like next to each other, mingled.
But you know that the chefs in the Chinese cake shop are going to the chendol stall
to buy the chendol, and it's all right.
It's okay.
Because you want both, because you can have both, and you could do this in KL, but everything is so far away.
That's the thing. I feel like what I was really proud of as a Malaysian in the UK when I was studying there was that, especially in London, the level of sectioning of that city is fucking insane, dude. You cross the Thames and you are in a different country. You cross certain neighborhoods, you are in a different place. People have different accents. It's that fucking extreme. And what I was really proud as a Malaysian is the fact that we all eat at Mamak's regardless. And that like you can have twin towers next to like an Apam Balik shop that the guy just set up for a stall, and people will visit the Apam Balik shop more than they do inside Surya. And that's what I was really happy about. But now I'm starting to see like these pockets that are impenetrable, and I was gonna say it, they fucking corrupt things that are supposed to be for everyone, that are supposed to be accessible, that are supposed to be public. And they turn it into private rituals and private routines and private spaces that they charge to get into. I'm like, fuck you, man. Fuck you for doing
That's
this.
what happened in Chinatown.
Yes, exactly.
Chinatown is a prime example. Like Chinatown used to be a little bit gnarly to go to. It's like now I'm just walking around, dangling my camera around. I feel safe, which is weird. And the only places that you still have the same feeling is that when if you go into the fringes of Chinatown, like between the market, you go to the end of the meat market, and it's like suddenly it's like you find a jewelry place, like I find a jewel suddenly, it's like what happened? And you go and there's like a space where all the Chinese people there like having noodles, and there's like authentic food. They're just sitting there. Cheap food, everybody's just doing it, but it's very cut off from everything else. Because the second you go back to what you know as Chinatown, it's boutique after boutique cafes. They did this fucked up thing, which I think they were trying to like imitate Penang to a certain degree. But it's like they did this fucked up thing, like painting up the the size of the road and doing the same mural paintings that there is in Penang. So there's a section there that you go, history of the Chinatown. Come in here. And I'm like, what happened? There's nothing here for me. The chef is like, everybody's Instagramming. Some guy is like dangling a Leica camera. Like, if you know Leica, it costs 1 year of your salary to buy. Like, nonchalantly, without feeling somebody's going to steal anything. And it's no longer that feeling that I'm be there and I might get something that might be a little unique to me.
It's almost like we're trying to standardize an experience.
Rexcale is a prime example.
Rexcale is a very good example.
Yeah. Now,
I love the space.
Oh, no,
you're doing a good job with it. But I think Rakib said one of the best descriptions of that area. He said, Rexcale is the same thing you get in Chinatown, but safer.
Oof.
So because all white people were coming over there at night, and it was like one white person after another was going. It was after Halloween, I think. It was
after Halloween, just after the raids.
Yeah,
right
don't
after the
trend. We don't want to be near poor people.
Yeah,
so let's put walls in.
That's basically what I said. It's like Rexcale is basically, everything you want of the Chinatown, but without all the scary poor people.
Without all the scariness of it, all the scary poor people. No, it's just that a white person thinks like, oh, look, this is so dodgy.
Fuck, I never thought of that.
Yes.
I genuinely never thought of that. My God, yeah.
Again, whoever is managing the place doing a spectacular job, because I really like what they do on the weekends.
Yeah.
Some of their things are unique, which I love.
Dude, they have honestly, that's the thing. When they have art installations,
fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Fantastic art installations. They have
when they do it well, they do it well.
When they do it well, they do it well. But it's for exclusives to come in and don't feel like they might get shit on their shoes.
Brother, so you know the book access in Rexcale, right?
Oh yeah.
You know those massive bookshelves and everything. And I went there because I saw it on Instagram.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like all the books, that's so nice. Yeah. I went there with my friend, his name's Kiva, and we went there and we looked around and we were like, why is every book the first book that you read when you are trying to learn about a topic?
Right.
Literally every section, like philosophy, religion, comics, humor, it's all the stuff that you get from your first 2 Google searches.
First entries. Yeah.
First entry stuff. There was an intro to Buddhism. There was something like, it wasn't called Intro to Buddhism. It was something quicker than that. But it was like maybe 100 pages.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is very weird.
Yeah.
Because I get so excited about bookshops and bookstores. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
But this was like the art. This was like the cover of the book, having everything and looking spectacular.
Yeah.
But inside, just going, look at the cover again.
Yeah.
See, this is why you might like Penang more.
That's what I'm saying.
You know why? Used bookstores.
I love used bookstores.
There's like one used bookstore that I know of in
there's like
KL,
3
in Masjid Jamia.
Yeah, there's one in Masjid Jamia, there's one in Bangsa.
There you go. And book access blew up past 5 years. But book access 10 years ago was only there was one I remember in Angkor Mall. And to this day, it's still my favorite mall.
Yes.
To this day, it is still my favorite mall, because it still has retained what it was.
So I was going to point that out. The kind of shit that I like about Penang, I can only find in PJ.
Yeah. PJ boys represent 64.
Yeah. It's true, because first of all, I'm born in Selangor, right?
Yeah.
And I was raised in my grandma's place. It's now my auntie's place in Section 5.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. Which means that Angkor Mall is within walking distance.
Yeah.
Quite literally, I accidentally kidnapped my nephew to take him there because I wanted him to learn how to play virtual cop. Now, and then my cousin thought he had been kidnapped. It's a long story. Anyway,
just gonna gloss over that.
Yeah. At one point, he nearly did. Anyway, Angkor Mall is still dodgy, but
it is still dodgy. Yeah.
It has a proper flea market.
Yes.
Saturday, Sunday. That's where I got my camera from.
There you go.
I love that flea market. I went to that flea market when I was a kid.
Love it.
And
find the old record players, find the
typewriters,
vinyl, like old vinyls and all this shit.
And you can see on the looks of the people, these are people who know their things.
Yes.
Right? They know that the make of the typewriter, they know like where this like hand cut pair of sunglasses came from. And if you're not even going to go to the flea market because some of the stuff can be pretty expensive, because I know what I got. Used bookstores, magazine shops, from top to bottom.
Book access at the top level 10 years ago, 8 years ago, was spectacular then.
Yeah.
There was a period in my life I was going like a little cuckoo. I was under a lot of pressure, blah, blah, blah. Well, I used to go there like at least 4 times a week. Or I just spend the time in there because there was the selection of the books were so different than what it is today. I think it got owned by somebody else and they took over and suddenly you have book access everywhere. But it was just like suddenly you go and the books were cheaper also. Book access, books are always cheaper.
Right.
But it was even cheaper and there were rare books. And I would spend an hour in there without noticing.
Yeah.
And it was you think like, then it was the feeling like I am in the Chinatown, finding a jewel, and nobody knows about it. And to this day, it has retained it. Like there was a moment the book access has changed a little bit, but the structure remains the same. But everything about the M Corp Mall, unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of the businesses went out of the thing. But and some of the places, some of the businesses. Here's the gnarly part of it. Yeah, you go by these businesses that are closed, and you look, and you're like. Somebody living in there? Yeah. There is this feeling like if somebody's looking at you from the dark room with the shut glass. You're like, I feel like somebody just looked at me and is like watching me as I go by. I cannot see him, but I can feel eyes on me, but I can feel eyes on him. And I love that. I love the place.
Yeah.
It's character. It's more than anything, it's just the character of the place.
When you look at like dead shopping malls, right? You're looking at shopping malls that never found their second wind because they were still trying to be glamorous and they can't do that
That's
anymore.
what I'm fucking saying.
Yeah. Whereas MCOP Mall is like, you know what?
We're us.
Proletariats uses this now.
That's literally it. We're like,
there's no revamp. There's nothing that they haven't changed the color of the fucking building.
Oh God,
no, none of it. There was a small attempt. Like I remember because like there were like camps building up, like a famous rock climbing camp opened up next to it, but then I think it got shut down. Yeah, it's still you go in. The secret recipe is in the same place that it's supposed to be. In the corner. You go in. There's a jewelry shop and there's a bunch of Indians and Chinese people trying to sell you merch.
Kopitiam.
Those have remained in the same place. And so that's how last time I went there, I was like, oh, it has retained what it had.
You know what I think it is? I think in general, Malaysians have this tendency to not see ourselves as worth anything. So even our original, MCOP Mall, take MCOP Mall for example. MCOP Mall has accepted what they are. They have accepted we are a flea market, we are a dodgy ass place, we have weird things going in and on, in here, and that's fine. Because we can stay afloat, all good. Whereas I feel like a lot of Malaysians, and I feel like this is a problem, especially in KL, but I can only speak for KL since I'm here the whole time. We have this idea that we need to constantly improve. And not improve in the sense of making what we have stronger, but rather moving towards a future that doesn't exist. Which is the reason why even the fucking, oh God, you know the KL Selangor border? That thing that says Selamat Datang Kuala Lumpur? It used to be yellow and yellow and white and stuff.
Yellow and white,
and now it's this gray color.
Is it?
It's silver. And dude, it looks gross. And then it's this movement towards something that's development for development's sake.
Yeah, it's hey, let's change something. What? Build another skyscraper.
The
best thing about Malaysia to understand is that you guys have skyscrapers for no point.
Yeah.
And looking at one for another, I'm like, Okay. Like you there's already planned for a new one.
I don't.
When the Merdeka 1278, whatever the hell.
No one has any money to use it, and I don't know why we're building it. You know what really annoys me? My parents insisted that I take a train to go back to Penang, so I took the train to go back to Penang.
Yeah,
lovely train. I still don't really fit in the seats, whatever. What I really noticed was, as nice as KL Central is, when you're going back to Penang, you have to go by the old KL station.
Yeah.
And you're like, why don't we just use this?
Dude, yes. Oh.
Like, it's got the platforms in place. It's perfect for these trains.
Literally.
Yep.
And it's beautiful.
Instead of trying to maintain it, we try to move away.
Yeah.
Oh, I got off that station and I was like, why aren't they maintaining this building? Because it's falling the fuck apart.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful, and it's, for fuck's sake, a heritage center.
Yeah, bro.
Like, how long has that building been around?
I don't know what's going on. All I know is that for the longest time, the nice bus, which doesn't exist anymore, went from like the premier bus to go back to like Penang or to come from Penang to KL with. And its waiting room was there, and it was like nice and comfortable. And by the time I left uni, by the time I was working in the Star, right? It was so run down. There was literally roaches on the chandelier.
Oh.
And if that isn't a title for a song about KL neglecting itself.
Roaches on the chandelier.
Sang by Sia.
Yeah.
Roaches are really...
But you understand what, because that waiting area was in the KL station.
Yeah.
And it was a bit crowded.
Yeah.
You know, people probably complain that the buses stopped there and shit. People would double park there, whatever. Right? It's not as if there aren't methods to do it, but no one bothers. No one bothers. And maybe
it would be easier to just build a new place.
It would be easier to build a new place. No, I don't think so. I don't. Because if you look at the inside of that state, there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people can, like, wait. Right? And there's places for shops.
Also, you guys have a hard-on for bridges between buildings.
Yeah.
Yo, that fucking rainbow bridge is so stupid.
Like, ever since the fucking KLC, he had the bridge in the, like, the fucking sky bridge, whatever the hell you want to call that thing. Which is a good, I've never been to it, like, even though people, like, pay good money to go to see it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I don't think I've been to it.
It's like, okay, Mid-Valley, what do we do? Build a bridge and connect it to the LRT. Great, okay. What do we do now? Another bridge. From going the side of the highway to the other one. The bridge, yes. It's like, have you noticed the amount of increase in bridges from buildings to other buildings that are not even might be related to each other?
Right.
From a condo to a mall. From a mall to an LRT.
Yeah.
From a mall to a mall.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's
from a mall to another mall.
You guys really love bridges.
You know why? Because
like, it does help, but at the same time, like, this is your like, if any countries be defined, each country has to have their own architecture.
Yeah.
Yours will be defined by bridges.
You know what it is? It is a bunch of, like, extensions to an older thing that they didn't have space for, so they just put a bridge and tell you go across the bridge to the other side.
Yeah. So you never actually have to address
the problem.
Yeah.
Just look away from the problem and walk the other way.
Yeah. Like, Bangsa Village has the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? You needed another one. Why? I don't know. It's not as if this first one was lacking.
Yeah, this coffee bean wasn't working out with Starbucks.
Yeah. Because it's like, you know, expand or die or whatever.
It literally is that. I think it's that.
But it's like, you don't have to make things bigger to make them better. You can just make it better, you know?
It is a very childish attitude.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure one of the reasons why the shops on one side of the mall are not as popular as the other side of the mall is simply because it takes forever to walk. That's it.
But yeah, honestly, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Bangsa Village is a good size. Bangsa Village 2 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid.
By the way, Kieran is waiting.
Oh, yeah.
What notes did you bring, by the way, Ricky?
No, usually.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we got the.
Usually, when we're talking, I write down notes so that we can keep track. But clearly, we were not bothered about keeping track.
No, we didn't keep track on this.
This is a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, this is when we started talking about salmon and melting our bodies, and then fucking a stingray. Yes, and
and now we're talking about
bridges and architecture.
Yeah. But it led from wanting to move to Penang and talking about how development fucks up the fact that you want to live in the place.
9/12. Yeah, I think we can wrap this episode.
Yeah,
because I have no idea how the fuck to wrap it.
You probably got 2 podcasts.
You got 2 podcasts here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this. Whatever this was.
Whatever this kind was. Of fucking word salad bullshit.
We wanted to talk about serial killers, but then suddenly we ended up talking about.
I mean, serial killers. Kind of the same thing as stingrays.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. So,
Orcas are definitely quality serial killers.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck stingrays.
Fuck stingrays. Fuck them. I think that's the conclusion.
I mean...
Fuck stingrays and fuck stingrays.
Yes.
Dirty bitches.
Wow.